Well, today we're taking a look at one of my all-time favorite movies, Jurassic Park. Now, though it is considered a classic by many, myself included, I still have some questions, so let's talk it out. Now, Jurassic Park opens with a raptor being moved into its paddock. Now, after this guy draws the short straw and is deemed gatekeeper, he raises the gate about halfway before the raptor charges forward, which somehow pushes the cage backwards. Our gatekeeper is attacked, and then as they try to we come to a scene that seems to only exist for us to find out about the upcoming inspection, get a glimpse of one of the mosquitoes that we learn about later, and provide a weird transition to Montana. So let's just skip to Montana. Here we find Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler, who are in the process of uncovering a new raptor fossil.
Yeah, it's good shape, too.
That doesn't look very scary.
Kid, you were standing behind at least 2 rows of adults off-axis to a 13-inch TV with a cardboard shroud to block the sun. You didn't see anything. And that's clearly the case because of this.
More like a 6-foot turkey.
You ever see a turkey? Turkey, raptor, turkey, raptor. They don't look anything alike. Now, on their way back up to their trailer, a helicopter comes in and almost lands on the dig site.
What the hell do you think you're doing in here?
Whoa, where the hell did he come from? Now, Grant and Sattler were running to the helicopter while it was still in the air. So at what point did this 70-year-old jump from the helicopter still in flight to get inside before it even landed?
Hey, we were saving that!
For today, I guarantee it.
Wait, you've destroyed their research with your chopper, and you're here to invite them to a park which, if successful, would likely put them out of a job. You really think this is the day they've been waiting for? Well, this is John Hammond, and judging by their reaction at learning this, he seems to be one of, if not the largest of their donors. He proceeds to tell them he has an island off Costa Rica and that he wants them to see it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, also, he offers them a lot of money, so hey, it's off to the island we go.
So you two, dig up dinosaurs?
What the hell was that? Well, after arriving, they hop in a couple of jeeps to head off to the compound, but first, a real treat. Hammond stops the jeeps, and after Goldblum remembers to react, we get to see our first real glimpse at Hammond's creation. Now, at the time of this recording, this movie is 29 years old, and this scene still gives me chills. I was 11 when this came out, and I remember being absolutely amazed by the realism of this. And even today, I still am. Alright, well, it's time to go to the main building to learn how Hammond has pulled this off. Our first stop is a rotating theater?
It's kind of a ride.
Whatever you say, John.
100 million years ago, there were mosquitoes. The mosquito would land on the branch of a tree and get stuck in the sap, preserving the mosquito inside. They extract the preserved blood from the mosquito and dino DNA.
So many questions.
Right, so in the first 3 movies of the franchise, we're introduced to 22 species of dinosaur. 22. Now, maybe Malcolm the mathematician could help calculate this.
Chaotician, actually.
Right, my mistake. But what are the odds of finding a 65 million year old mosquito perfectly preserved in amber with a healthy sample of dinosaur DNA? Now, what do you suppose the odds are of finding not just 1, not 2, but 22 separate DNA samples for the variety they've produced? Oh, and I want to back up for just a moment.
Alan, this species of Variformin's been extinct since the Cretaceous period.
Yeah, about that. Now, putting aside your miracle of extracting enough DNA from various mosquitoes to produce the 22 species of dinosaur, where did you get the DNA for extinct plant species? So they interrupt the ride and head down to the lab where they're just in time to see the birth of a dinosaur.
Push. Come on. Come on. Come on, then.
What species is this?
It's a velociraptor.
I get that Hammond is all about shock value, something that would undoubtedly help with ticket sales, but you'd think a little bit of research before bringing them back into existence would have been wise. Now, if what Grant said earlier about them being highly intelligent pack hunters is true, it isn't, this would be one species that should have remained extinct. Anyway, we catch some fresh air while the raptors are fed, and we hear Muldoon's ominous warnings.
They should all be destroyed. They're lethal at 8 months, and I do mean lethal. When she looks at you, you can see she's working things out. They remember.
And then it's time for lunch.
This park was not built to cater only for the super rich. Everyone in...
Wait, get a load of this. Look, I get this would be a highly popular destination and would do well if you'd actually done this right. But you ain't surpassing zoos, my friend. I can jump in the car and take the family to our local zoo on the cheap. Now, there's plenty of zoos that even have free admission. Compare this to your park and even on
Coupon day or something.
You still have expensive airfare and other travel expenses just to get to the park. That said, you're already suggesting zoos are a better performer than sports? Sports? You ever throw a draft party to see which zoo is going to get which animal? Oh, and how is your fantasy zoo league going? Well, after lunch, they head downstairs for the tour.
Grandpa!
Grandpa? Oh, help me out here. Look, you're conducting this trial run to ensure the safety of the park, and so far have invited a paleontologist, a paleobotanist, a chaotician, and now you've invited your own grandchildren? What use is this? I don't think throwing in a bunch of guinea pigs was your investor's idea of a safety inspection. You need engineers and zoo experts, those who already know how to keep people safe from animals like lions and bears, and expand on that to make it work with dinosaurs. I get that we need to understand that Hammond is actually quite reckless, but damn. I'm also not sure if he's more terrified that Hammond bred raptors or the prospect of having to spend the day with a couple of kids. Well, they get situated in the vehicles and off they go.
The voice you're now hearing is Richard Kiley. We spared no expense.
Richard Kiley. Sure, I guess he was well known, but if you really want a good voice for your nature tour, you should try to get David Attenborough. Maybe you've heard of him. By the way, I'm not sure who of you have ever worked in a call center or for any other reason may have worn a single ear headset. But this part here, yeah, that's supposed to sit on your head, not be put in your ear.
We have all the problems of a major theme park and a major zoo, and the computers aren't even on their feet yet.
Dennis, our lives are in your hands and you have butterfingers?
Well, I don't see Butterfingers, but I have found a couple peanut butter cups over here. So this is Dennis Nedry. We actually met him earlier in a brief scene in which we learn he's been hired by another company to steal 15 viable embryos off the island. And to ensure his success, they give him a container that holds just 10. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works either, but I digress. Now, ready to execute the plan, he nervously rambles about getting a snack.
I've had only sweets, and I think I'm going to get something salty. I thought maybe some would
But I guess if they're not going to be concerned the guy has both a photo of J. Robert Oppenheimer and a doodle of a mushroom cloud taped to his screen, his breaking character would be nothing to worry about. Well, he heads off to grab the embryos, which appear to have been labeled by a 9-year-old. And then find out his power outages caused the tour vehicles to stop in one of the worst areas possible. Now, after they stop, Tim starts playing with some night vision goggles when he starts to feel a tremor. Now, as anyone watching would guess, it's the ultra sneaky T-Rex. Seriously, this massive dinosaur that shakes the ground with each step somehow managed to grab the goat that was sitting just 30 feet away without making a sound. Well, after she finishes her dinner, she runs her claws over the electric fence on a hunch or something, and inevitably makes her escape. Now, in a panic, Lex begins to search the vehicle for something. Let's see what she comes up with. Of course. Big-ass dinosaur standing just outside the car. Let's grab a flashlight. Isn't this kid supposed to be smart? Sure, just shine it in her eye. Now, wouldn't you know, this kind of pisses the T-Rex off. So she attacks the car, flips it over, and mud from who knows where starts flowing. Well, after Malcolm distracts the T-Rex, she chases him towards the bathroom, which gets blown over to reveal Gennaro, who had been hiding there. I'm also not sure how I missed this until now, but can I just take a moment to point out this guy is wearing a long sleeve shirt with a tie while wearing shorts? No. Anyway, back at the car, Grant has managed to get Lex out, but while trying to get Timmy out, we find the T-Rex has quietly moved back up the road and is standing right over them. One thing leads to another, and while Grant and Lex climb down the wall, Timmy takes the express route. And once the two of them get down to the bottom, Grant heads over to Timmy's new makeshift treehouse. Although hesitant about climbing down, they eventually find the proper motivation.
Oh no.
At the compound, they've shut down the system to wipe out Nedry's code, and now Muldoon and Sattler are headed out to reset the power.
We can make it if we run.
No, because we're being hunted.
Now, while he tries to hold back a couple of raptors,
Clever girl.
I did say try, Sattler gets to the breaker room and begins to switch everything back on. Meanwhile, Grant and the kids have made it to one of the electric fences. You know, for a guy who doesn't like kids, he's got the dad jokes. Now, fortunately for them, the switch for the fence is conveniently towards the bottom, and each will be turned back on rather dramatically, giving them just enough time for all of them to safely climb down the other side. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Now, somehow, despite having 10,000 volts flow through Timmy with nothing to show but a couple of burns on his hands, he manages to survive, and they head back to the main building and have a bite of that nasty food that's been sitting out in the tropical heat for several hours. As they enjoy their meal, the raptors show up for theirs. So the kids run off to the kitchen to hide, which doesn't go well. and eventually are found by Grant and Sailor. They head to the control room in hopes of rebooting the system. However, one of the raptors manages to find them. So first off, this would be a whole lot easier if Sattler were to push on the door closer to the handle rather than the hinge. And secondly, this is only taking this long because of the slow interface. Look, we can see the file names, but need to wait for it to render at the proper angle to read it? Urgent or not, who would ever want to deal with this? By the way, if these two fully grown adults who are in fairly decent shape are struggling to keep this door closed, how the hell did Timmy manage it in the kitchen? And don't tell me it's because the freezer floor was wet. The kid was 10 years old and also had wet shoes. Well, Lex boots the system back up, so instead of the door, the raptor tries to come through the window. Well, after escaping through the ceiling, we catch up with them in the main atrium where they've been cornered. Wait, what? Where did she even come from? She went from causing tremors with each step to sneaking into this building to go for an ambush?
Mr. Hammond, after careful consideration, I've decided not to endorse your park.
So have I.
It's a brief statement, but a huge moment for Hammond. I mean, just take a look back at what we've seen throughout this movie. Finally, he gets it. But look at him. Sure, this man has made some huge mistakes that have cost lives. Sure, he has claimed to have spared no expense, though we've seen plenty of examples where that simply wasn't true. And sure, he brought 3 scientists and 2 kids to test the safety of the park rather than actual experts. But despite all this, I can't help but feel for the guy. Not only has he invested an immense amount of time and money into this park, but you could see he was truly passionate about this place. I know it seems I've been a bit harsh, but I was being honest when I said this is one of my favorite movies. And it's not hard to see why. But that's it for this one. If you'd like to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, bye for now.